What's up, everybody? We're going to be previewing the UFC 284 prospects to watch on this upcoming card. Basically, I'm going to take 3 of my top prospects and preview them in the video, talk about the last couple matchups and how I think they'll do in their new matchup and what to watch out for. So this video is basically for the people that are just trying to stay in tune with the card. Who are the guys that maybe the UFC is looking out for, and who is the top guy? Because I'm telling you, I think we're all thinking of the same person. At least for a lot of people that watch this UFC pretty closely, we're all thinking of that one guy. He will be the last one. But if you wanted to know a little bit more, you wanted to watch a little bit more of the early prelims, the prelims, or even the main card in this case, and learn about some of these fighters before you watch them this weekend on a pretty big card that we have, at least top heavy. This is a really good video for you. So without further ado, I'll get right into it with my first prospect. We have Melsik Bagdasaryan. Melsik Bagdasaryan, I believe, is 31 years old, so he's a little older. I try to get younger guys in here, but Melsik Bagdasaryan, I believe, took like a year and a half off. He does look in pretty good condition, looked pretty good, better condition than in this video, so he's pretty ripped right now. So his last matchup was against Bruno Souza. He showed some really good takedown defense, but was able to stay very patient on the feet and pick his shots, as Bruno Souza was kind of like circling him a little bit in that matchup. For the Colin Anglin fight, he showed really good body knees in both fights between Colin Anglin and Dennis Bazooka. He showed some really good body knees, very fast. He goes to the body quite a bit, especially in those two matchups. He went to the body a lot. I love body shots. I think they're super fun to watch, especially like the face some of the guys makes after they get hit. I think it's pretty cool, at least for me. And then he did land a really good, nice head kick KO over Colin Anglin in that matchup. So he looked very impressive in that one. For the Dennis Bazooka one, I believe it was on the Contender Series. Yeah, that's correct, on the Contender Series. He had some really fast and stiff punches, looked really good. Again, he's a very fast fighter. Looked very good in that matchup. And again, a good variety of strikes, threw a lot of body kicks. The body kicks were nice. The body knees were nice. Threw some very stiff punches, very quick on the feet. He looked really good, and I can only imagine with a year and a half off, he's coming back against Joshua Kalibau. He's going to look really good. At least that's what I'm predicting. He's in really good shape. My assumption is that he's been working on himself a little bit, coming back at 31 years old, so he's kind of entering his prime a little bit of his career. So we'll see how he returns. I put him at third on this list because he is a little bit of an older fighter and we haven't seen him in a year or whatsoever. So I wanted to showcase him as my third prospect for this one. But to move on to the next prospect, I have Francisco Prado. He has a very tough matchup against Jamie Mullarkey in this card. So for his matchup against Mauricio Ariel Pare, I believe is how you say his name, he won that matchup by submission. He looked really good on the ground. I believe it went for multiple rounds. Not much we see actually from him in multiple rounds. Let me check exactly what round it got finished real quick. He finished him in the third round, won by a Von Flue choke. It looks super impressive there. Uses wrestling quite a bit and showed that off really well. So, and then against Adrian Peroni, won by ground and pound in that matchup. He took the guy down, got caught in a guillotine, was basically just waiting to get out of that guillotine a little bit, and then ended up just ground and pounding him out. If you watched the Tatsuro Taira fight last week, you would see probably the same thing where he went for a takedown, got caught in a guillotine, was kind of just waiting it out a little bit, and then Tatsuro Taira won by submission, but he just ended up on top and was just ground and pounding the crap out of him. For the Jose Barrios Vargas fight, looks super impressive there. I believe that was probably the best record opponent he's fought. I believe the Peroni guy was 6-0, but Jose Barrios Vargas is 13-3. So the biggest record that I believe he's fought. He fought Mauricio Ariel Pare that I just discussed, who was 21-15. So he hasn't fought the best competition, but he's only 20 years old. So he's looked really good, looked very talented. But his last fight was against a 13-3 Jose Barrios Vargas and looked super impressive on the feet, threw quite a bit of kicks, and then just went against him against the cage and just unloaded some nasty hands and ended up KOing him on the feet. So looks super impressive there. He is going up against Jamie Mullarkey, so it's going to be a very tough test for him in this matchup, but we'll see how he does. I believe I did choose Jamie Mullarkey, but he definitely has a very solid chance of winning this fight. Francisco Prado is definitely a prospect to watch out, especially even if he does lose this fight. He's definitely a guy to watch out for. With vast improvements, he can definitely be a very, very talented fighter. He also he already has the promise. He has the power, he has the decent stand-up, good wrestling, and then good submissions. We just need to see him against a tougher opponent. I think we'll see that this weekend, and hopefully he performs, and we got a good prospect on our hands. But he is only 20. He can learn quite a bit at this point. So if he does lose it, it won't be like a very bad thing, especially against a guy like Jamie Mullarkey. So it's a tough matchup, but I think he'll look somewhat impressive in that matchup if he loses. But if he does win, it's going to be super impressive. So going on to my first, I guess my number one ranked or my final prospect that I have on this list, it is none other than Della Maddalena. I think a lot of people probably would have predicted it at this point, but he has looked super impressive in all his fights. I guess I'm going to talk more generally here. In the UFC, he has fought Danny Roberts, KO'd him in the first round. Ramazan Emeev KO'd him in the first round. Pete Rodriguez KO'd him in the first round, and then won against Angelusa on the Contender Series by decision. So all of his UFC fights, or his official UFC fights, if you're not counting the Contender Series, have been won by first round KO. He's looked super impressive there against Pete Rodriguez, won by, it says a counter left on Tapology, won by a liver punch against Ramazan Emeev, and then won by TKO against Danny Roberts. So he's looked super impressive all his matchup. The thing with Della Maddalena, it's like so entertaining to watch him strike. It's like he enters the Matrix. It's absolutely insane. If you guys have not watched it, it's absolutely insane. Like, it slows down for him, and you can see it when he strikes. He's like dodging all these shots, landing some good body punches, and then moves up, and then just super fast, super good combinations, really good head movement. It's just already slowed down for him. I believe he is, 26 years old, so he's still very, very young. I believe he did get taken down by Ramazan Emeev. I was able to survive that. I think he was in a pretty nasty, I think it was like a guillotine choke, pretty nasty choke there. I was able to get out of it and was able to end up winning against Ramazan Emeev by a liver shot. So he's looked super impressive there. I think he has a very kind of tough opponent against Randy Brown here. Randy Brown, a very lengthy dude. He hasn't fought a guy that long. So we'll see how he does with that range that Randy Brown has. I believe Randy Brown has like a 78-inch reach. Something along those lines, if I'll confirm it. Yeah, 78-inch reach. I believe he will have like a 5-inch reach advantage, so it's going to be massive. He hasn't really fought someone with that long of a reach, so we'll see how he does here. It might be a little bit harder to get inside on a guy like Randy Brown, but he is the top prospect that the UFC is pretty much looking at this point. They put him as, the third fight on the main card, right under the 2 championship bouts. So this is a very important bout. It's like the Paddy Pimblett thing where they had originally on UFC 282, they had the championship out between Yuri and Glover, and then they had Magomed Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz, and then they had Paddy Pimblett. So they're putting that prospect right under the 2 championship bouts. You can probably, I think, you can argue the same thing with Jan and O'Malley. I think that was the 3rd fight on that card too. So they're putting him on here. It's not like he's not the most talked about guy. If you're in kind of like the hardcore spaces, they talk really a lot about Della Maddalena, but he's not very known by the public too much, rather than like a Paddy Pimblett or Sean O'Malley. So this is their guy in the welterweight division. He's able to look really good against Randy Brown. I think it's a very good future for Della Maddalena, especially at 26. They may slow roll him until he feels comfortable going, but he's the guy for sure. The UFC has an eye on him, and I think he'll look super impressive this weekend. I expect him to get the win. And this is the UFC's, he's so entertaining. Like, I can't really describe it necessarily, other than he just sees everything in slow motion, other than like any other prospect, like dodging punches inside, just super crisp boxing that I haven't seen in a while, or at least from a prospect this young too. So he's super impressive. Can't wait to watch him. I love watching his fights. I could watch him all the time. He's just super crisp in the boxing. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I tried to go over my top 3 prospects. I'll just roll over a couple prospects that I didn't include here. We have, let me just run through this real quick. Maybe a Tyson Pedro. I think he's been in the UFC for a while though, but he has come back. Maybe you can go up and comer for that, I guess. But he has lost some fights in the UFC and things like that. Clayton Rodriguez coming off a loss. Didn't want to put him in there. Jack Jenkins, I guess I probably could have put him in here, but I think I want to see him get a debut first before I put him in a video like this. Before I'm super confident. I guess you could argue the same thing with Prado, but I wanted to showcase some of the guys that maybe people aren't paying attention too much. I guess I probably could have put some of those guys over a Melsik Bagdasaryan or a Francisco Prado, but Jack Jenkins wasn't super. I guess he has looked a little bit impressive on the Contender Series, but I don't think I saw enough there to put him over a guy like Melsik Bagdasaryan, who is coming up a little bit, is 31 years old, and a Francisco Prado, who is super young and super talented on the feet with a lot of power and some good striking, good wrestling, who's very green. And then I didn't want to put Blake Builder. I'm not too crazy about Blake Builder. I kind of want to see how he does against Shane Young first before I put him in one of these. But yeah, so just to recap, number 3, Melsik Bagdasaryan. Number 2, Francisco Prado. Number 1, and Jack Della Maddalena. I guess you can put some honorable mentions. We'll go Jack Jenkins, Blake Builder. I believe that is all for this one. So those are my prospects to watch for this weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Who is one of the guys that you are really looking out for this weekend? My guess is probably Jack Della Maddalena for a lot of these fans, because he's just super entertaining to watch. But let me know down below who is the number 1, I guess, prospect you'll be looking to watch on this card, since it is a very top heavy card. Other than the top 2 matchups and maybe the Jack Della Maddalena matchup, other than that, it's kind of open field pretty much. I guess you got like a Tyson Pedro, that would be pretty entertaining. But prospect wise, let me know who you guys will be watching this weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time.